Welcome back to Fixing Furniture. My name's Scott Bennett and I'm passionate about teaching furniture repair because I believe this is a disappearing craft. Now, one of the best ways to learn about furniture repair is to learn what not to do, and that's what this video is about. I've got a chair here that's a great example of what not to do when repairing a chair. I'll also share with you in this video a little bit about the course that I built, Introduction to Furniture Repair. Stick with me, I'll show you how it's done.
As a furniture repair business, we're opening the doors to our workshop to show you the tools and techniques to repair furniture.
The front rail here, you can see this has been broken off.
We give you tips to make your repair projects easier. Let's get into the workshop and start fixing furniture.
Sponsored by Kennedy Hardware, offering restoration hardware for antique furniture. The joints in this chair are so loose that if these bolts aren't on here, it would likely fall apart. And you'll see me take this apart when I do that. Now, one of the mistakes people make is they think that adding screws, nails, or bolts will help hold a chair together. But there's a problem. There's a live load on these chairs. Every time someone sits on it, shifts on it, the wood is moving. And when you've got traditional wood joinery like this, the wood rubbing against wood, it doesn't battle each other. It works and flexes together. But as soon as you introduce something harder in that metal, then the metal wears out the wood. It also keeps these joints longer together than they should be. When a chair starts to squeak, the wood starts to rub, that's a sign that it needs to be taken apart, glued, and put back together again. It can be a simple process if you know the right way to do it. The course that I built is Introduction to Furniture Repair, and I walk through in that course 4 different types of chairs and how to repair each of them properly as a way to understand how furniture joints go together. It's the fundamentals of understanding furniture repair. What I'm going to do is take these bolts off here and we'll see how easily this comes apart. I'll put some padding down here and then flip the chair over to remove the seat. And once the seat's off, I can take the bolts out. With those screws out, that removes the upholstery seat here. Now what we've got is the frame of the seat. So that needs to come off as well. To take out these slotted screws, I use a Yankee screwdriver. And if you've never seen one of these before, they're pretty neat. It's the original cordless screwdriver. Just hold on to it here, push down, and it backs out the screw. Before I lift the chair off the seat frame, what I'll do is give you a close-up so you can see how loose the joints are in this chair. This is the stretcher here, and the joints are tight here because this bolt is securing all of it. But if we look here, you can see light between there. If we look here, you can see the dowels in between there. That's a really open joint. And over on this side, you can see in the seat frame, someone has actually put glue into that opening, and that doesn't do anything. So let's take this chair apart here. So there's the separate seat frame. It looks like that. We'll need some repair. And then we've got the chair here. Now, these slot-headed screws are important details, a part of the history of this chair, so make sure you hang on to them. If you're looking to replace some that are missing in chairs, they're difficult to find, but you can find them at Kennedy Hardware. I'll leave a link in the video description. Okay, so let's take off these nuts here, and we'll see how this chair comes apart. It's a little stiff. Wow, just look at how that chair is moving. I'll just put one finger here and look at it shifting. That's crazy. Okay, so I take this apart. What I'm going to do is set this aside, turn this upside down, and then it's a little stiff because of the bolt here, so I'll get out some spreader clamps. One of the things I teach in my course is to use spreader clamps to take things apart. Don't use a mallet because you can end up breaking parts that way. I learned that from experience. So this just applies gentle pressure and it looks like a car jack, just really gently pulling these pieces apart. So So I'll put it on this side as well. Pull this joinery apart. Oh, but there's a screw here to deal with. Right here, there's a screw that someone's put in here. And there's just some filler putty on the top of it. It's a Robertson screw, so you can see there the square being uncovered. So I just need to get all this putty out, and then I can get the screwdriver in there to pull it out. Even with these really long screws, this joint was coming apart. So screws are not an answer to fixing chairs. Before taking this apart anymore, what I want to do is label my parts. So I've got these tags I use on the side of my workbench. And that way I know how it all comes back together again. So there's one side apart. Okay, we're almost apart here. Oh, got a break in the stretcher there. I have to deal with that. Okay. So there, we've now got the pieces. We can disassemble the rest. Now, when taking furniture pieces apart, sometimes they come apart easy like this. Other times they're a lot more difficult. In the Introduction to Furniture Repair course, I cover off the various techniques that I've learned over years of doing furniture repair here in my workshop for customers. So if you'd like to check out that course, go to fixingfurniture.com and look at courses. Here, we've got a very loose joint and a broken dowel. So I'll have to take that dowel out of both sides. On this side, we've got a ton of glue in here. So at some point, somebody decided they wanted to add glue to this joint, hoping that that would hold it together, but glue doesn't work that way. I'll move these parts out of the way, and then we can take this part of the chair off. Now, typically the back of a chair wears the least, so the joints can sometimes be fully intact. Oh, interesting. There's a drill bit. That must have snapped off when someone was drilling the hole, the screw. Never seen that before. This is also the first time that I've ever seen a bolt holding a chair together. Now, there's a set of 6 chairs that I'm repairing for this customer, and it was a family member that did this repair, and it kind of has some nostalgia to it. So we're going to leave the bolts in it when I reassemble it. But I do have screw holes I'll have to cover up from where the screws were put in here. So we'll see if I can separate the parts here. Yeah, there is some movement. So I'll get the spreader clamp back out. Put that on here. Now in a chair like this, the crest rail is held on with screws, and there's screw caps on here. And there's generally a little bit of flexibility with the legs here. So what I'm going to do is separate the legs just enough that I can work glue into the joints and get them shored up. Let's see if that's going to work for us. So you can see here, this has opened up a whole lot here. This is opened up. There's some filler in here, so I need to clean these out. And then what I'll do is apply glue to the dowels here, shift this board over, apply glue to these dowels here, and then what we'll do is clamp it closed. Now that these joints are cleaned off, what I'll do is put them back into place. And then what I need to do is shift these boards over. So what I want to do is open up this side here and do the same thing. I think I've cleaned everything out here, so what I'm going to do is clamp it up the same way I would when I glue it up and see if the joints are nice and tight. I'm seeing a little bit of daylight down here. What happens if I clamp that up? If you look for the daylight between the joint, you can see it on the bottom there. And then up here, it's hard to see, but there's a little bit of daylight there. So there's something that's holding it out. I just need to clean that and it'll be good to go. So I've clamped it up, and here you can see we've got nice tight joints. So we're ready to pull this apart, put some glue on it, and clamp it up. Normally when I glue things up, I've got them all apart and I can put them back together. In this case, I'm going to have to slide the parts over, glue one side, slide them over, and then glue the other side before I can clamp it up. I'll be using hide glue for this, and there are a number of different glues you can use for furniture repair and restoration. In our course, Introduction to Furniture Repair, we've got a reference sheet that teaches you all the different types of glue, where to use them, and where not to. Now in applying glue, it's important to put the glue both on the mortise and tenon, so the hole is called the mortise, the dowel is known as the tenon. And that way the glue has the best opportunity to bond these parts together. The dowel wants to push the glue to the bottom of the hole, so if I put glue on the dowel itself, the glue on the dowel will get pushed to the top of the hole, and then we maximize glue coverage. So I'll put 2 clamps across this, and then we can set this aside and then work on the rest of the chair. I'm going to put the clamp on the back here because if I'm working fast enough, I can leave these clamps on while I clamp up the rest of the chair and glue it. Now, when you clamp things up like this, you will get squeeze out, so we just need to clean up the glue and then set this aside. Next up is the seat frame. So put some spreader clamps on this, take it apart, clean off the joints, and then I can glue it back together again as well. As I'm cleaning off these parts here, you can see there's a tremendous amount of glue on this. When you're just adding glue with globs like that, it doesn't stick. Glue doesn't stick to glue, and it also doesn't fill gaps. So this all needs to be cleaned off. The way I do that is I use a chisel and hold it against the dowel. And then what I do is run it around in a plane parallel to the end of the joint. Now you have to be careful when doing this that you're not damaging the parts. I've been doing this for a long time, so the safer way to do it is to grab a paint scraper like this and use that to break off the glue and get it back down to the wood surface. So this is what the surface should look like, all nice and clean. Now on the dowel I have to do some preparation. You see how it's square right on the edge? I have to bevel that. So put an angle on the edge, and that helps the glue get around the edge of the dowel and go up the side. This type of square edge on a dowel just really promotes pushing glue to the bottom of the hole. I use a file, just run it around the end like this, and that's enough to put a bevel on it for the glue to move by the dowel in the mortise. This is an example of some of the techniques I share in the Introduction to Furniture Repair course. There are 2 formats available. One is self-paced, where you learn on your own. The second one is instructor-assisted, where we get together on a weekly Zoom call to have live questions and answers to help you through each of the learning modules. What I'll do is prepare the rest of the chair here and bring you back for the glue up. seat frame glued up, but before I glue up the rest of the chair, let me explain what I'm doing here, because there's this piece here that's stuck to the dowel. Here in the chair you can see that there's a dowel here with a broken piece on it. This is the stretcher, and here's the mating piece that goes on. So typically I would repair this by replacing this whole piece of wood, because once a piece is broken across the grain like that, it really doesn't have much strength. Now along here I will be gluing it. The reason that I'm not going to be replacing this is because this is where that long bolt comes through. And this may be the reason that these chairs have these bolts in them, is because someone didn't know how to repair this properly. So what they did is they just sort of held it in place, bolted it together, and that held the chair in place. So the way to deal with this properly would be take this off, make a new piece like this, cut it at the right angle, drill a hole in it, then you've got a spot for the dowel. But for this particular repair, I'm just going to glue this, we'll bolt it together, and we'll be good to go. I'm going to use a PVA glue for this. For the rest of it, I'll be using hide glue. So the only parts I'm putting PVA on are the wood, the stretcher. I'm not putting any on the dowel. So on the dowel, I'll be putting on hide glue, because that can be reversed if it needs to be. I'll set this aside for a minute, and then I'll build up the chair and bring the back together again. So this is where the labeling comes in. I've got my front left, front right. There's the front rail. This is front right. This one is the middle, and then the one we've got in the chair. So here what we've got is also an opportunity to make a mistake. So this is the dowel that I had replaced. So I need to pull that out to glue that in. And I use fencing pliers for that because it's got a great round spot here. I also, when I cleaned off the dowels, figured out where the loose ones are. So go along and check the dowels, because if you've got loose dowels and you don't glue them, you haven't really fixed the chair. So these two spots here, I'll take out the glue. Now there's two ways to put the glue in here, and I use a wide back of an artist brush to put the glue in. Some people just squeeze it in the hole, but you're not getting it coated properly. So you really do need to spread it around. So get this one in here. This one in here. Okay, so we've got the front here. It's ready to go in. I'll put the glue. I'll turn it this way so you can see. Glue in the mortise, and then roll that brush around to spread that glue. So it's going like this. To glue these mortises here. Just take that wood chip off. So that can go together, and then I'll glue the tenons. Okay, so that goes on there. Glue on the tenons over here. Okay, and then I'll grab a clamp. And clamp that up and squeeze the parts together. So now what I'll do is glue up all the mortises, or the holes here. And then I can stack the chair up on top of that. So I'll put the seat rails in. The H stretcher, it's going to be a little challenging with the way this chair needs to go together, but we'll figure that out. So what I'm doing essentially is taking everything that's sitting on the bench right now and putting glue on it so I can stack up the parts. Okay, all the dowels are started now, and the next part is one of the most important parts of gluing up a chair. And that's making sure the chair is going to be level and that it won't rock. So I'm going to put clamps front to back on here, but first I'm going to put some weight on the chair, and that will make sure that when the glue dries, the chair will be level and won't have a rock to it. With it all clamped together, I can now turn it around. We'll put the nuts on and clamp the H stretcher. So I'll leave the chair on the workbench here for at least 2 hours. It takes 24 hours for this glue to come to full strength. What I'll do after that is work on the wood plugs that I put in there, put some stain on them. I'll show you how I disguise that, put some finish on, and then we can put the seat back on and we'll have a finished chair. I'll roll up some padding here, and I want to work on this horizontal. So if I just put some weight here on the legs, this will hold it in place. You can see from this angle that there's a curve to this back. So this isn't perfectly flat. If I use a flush cut saw right against the wood here, I could end up digging in. So I need to put a little bit of cardboard here just to give me a little bit of leeway, and then I can trim it off with a sharp chisel. This Japanese flush cut saw is one of my favorite tools. I'll leave a link in the video description if you'd like to buy one. So I'm using the cardboard just to elevate the saw a little bit, and I'll cut through this plug. To trim these plugs flat, I'm using a paring chisel, and this is a crank neck chisel. It allows me to get flat on the surface, and I keep it very, very sharp. Every time I use it, I run it on the strop to make sure it's as keen as possible, so I can get nice, smooth cuts here, very controlled. On my strop, I've got honing compound on one side, which is a bit of an abrasive, and then just bare leather on the other side. So this is for finer areas. So what I do is use this end here, the wood, to feel the bevel. So I get it flat, and then run it backwards. Do this about 30 times, and once I've done that, then run it on the back a few times, and do the same thing on the other side. And that makes sure I've got a really sharp chisel. So there you can see, it's a very sharp edge. Now we'll stand it up, and I can put the stain on it. I use an acrylic stain to cover up places like this, touch-up finishes. It really is the best product out there. And then what I do is top coat it with some shellac. Shellac is a finish that's sort of a lost art. People don't use it much anymore, but it is fantastic for repairing furniture. I use garnet shellac for a finish on the plugs, and it's also a great finish for disguising any wear marks. So there you have it, the finished chair, minus 2 screws. Screws and hardware are not meant for repairing chairs. I kept these bolts in here, as I'd mentioned, because they have some nostalgic value for the customer. Let's call it a nostalgic modification. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this project and you learned a few new things. If you'd like to get deeper into furniture repair and join our Fixing Furniture community, go to fixingfurniture.com to learn more about that. I'll leave another video for you right here. Thanks for watching Fixing Furniture.